For 40 years, between train tracks and skyscrapers, a community called Favela do Moinho has survived fires, raids, and demolitions. Today, it stands as the last favela in downtown São Paulo and the first to be targeted. They surrounded the Moinho, but they couldn't silence it. The Moinho was born in the 1980s on land once owned by the Federal Railway Company. Workers and families built their homes beside the tracks, a living neighborhood in the city's industrial heart. Since then, 900 families have lived here, resisting real estate pressure and surviving multiple fires that the state never truly investigated. In 2005, they created their own residents' association, not to ask for permission, but to defend a right, the right to stay in the city. Moinho's struggle is not just local. It exposes the battle over who belongs in the center of São Paulo and who is forced out. While luxury towers rise on one side of the tracks, the other side faces police operations, eviction threats, and a narrative war that calls poverty a crime. The favela is treated not as a community, but as an obstacle. In August 2024, the state housing agency CDHU entered the Moinho to register residents for relocation without any plan, address, or guarantee. When families resisted, the police surrounded the area. By early 2025, demolitions had begun under armed escort. Each day felt like living under siege. The state called it urban revitalization. Residents called it what it was: removal. At the heart of this resistance stood women, mothers, daughters, leaders. Alessandra Moja and Yasmin Moja became the public voices of the community. When President Lula visited the Moinho in 2025, they spoke directly to him, denouncing the violence. Months later, they were arrested, along with 9 residents, in what human rights observers called political action. Their detention marked a new stage in Brazil's urban war, the criminalization of community organizing. Under Governor Tarcísio de Freitas, São Paulo has turned its housing crisis into a security issue. The Moinho was treated as a zone of operation, with snipers, armored vehicles, and daily raids. Police violence became policy, not to fight crime, but to clear land. Every bullet fired is a message to investors. The ground is ready for your project. This is how social cleansing works in the 21st century, through urban militarization. Yet this is not the first time the Moinho faced fire and rose again. In 2011, a blaze destroyed half the community. 600 families lost everything. In 2012, another fire followed. The city built a wall blocking escape routes, and residents tore it down themselves. They rebuilt their homes with collective labor. They created the public house, a space for meetings and art. They founded Cine Moinho, their cultural center, with cinema, boxing, capoeira, and poetry. They turned survival into creation. In April 2025, despite ongoing talks with the federal government, state agents began demolitions again. Residents protested. The police responded with tear gas and rubber bullets. Dozens were injured. 2 were arrested at random. Images of the assault spread across the country, and the world began to watch. After public pressure, a temporary agreement was signed. Each family would receive a 250,000 real subsidy to buy a new home instead of the humiliating proposal to pay 20% of their income for 30 years. But the promise remains fragile. The land still belongs to the federal government, yet the demolition orders come from the state. Between these two authorities, the community is trapped again. After the arrests in September 2025, residents and activists formed the Committee in Defense of Favela do Moinho. They continue the association's work: legal defense, communication, and keeping the memory alive. From behind bars, Alessandra and Yasmin send messages to the community. Don't let them bury our story. Now, through Fire Fund, that story reaches beyond Brazil. This campaign has 3 goals. First, legal defense for the 11 prisoners and the families facing eviction. Second, emergency support for those under police pressure. Third, the creation of the Memorial do Moinho, a permanent archive of photos, videos, and testimonies from decades of struggle. Every donation turns memory into resistance. The Moinho is not only a favela. It's a mirror for every city where inequality hides behind concrete. From Paris to Nairobi, from New York to São Paulo, the question is the same. Who gets to stay and who gets removed? When you support this campaign, you're not just helping one community. You're standing against a global pattern of urban injustice. Favela do Moinho resisted fire, walls, and silence. Now it resists oblivion. Your solidarity keeps this memory alive, so that every eviction, every demolition, every arrest becomes part of a larger fight for dignity. Visit firefund.net and search for Favela do Moinho or firefund.net/Favela do Moinho. Here on YouTube, you can find the link to the campaign in the video description or in the first pinned comment. Help us reach 15,000 euros or more to defend the community, support the families, and build the memorial. Because demolishing houses is easy, erasing memory is not.